Good day everyone. I have a really cool vintage computer to show you guys today. This is a Dell Dimension XPS D233 made in December of 1997. I scored this thing from the e-waste pile. This computer works absolutely perfect, and I've actually learned a lot about it, preparing it for this video, which I prepared it a long time ago, months ago. And this has got to be one of the most interesting computers that I've ever acquired. This thing introduced a lot of technologies really early for being a circa 1997 computer. This is a Pentium 2 system. It is a 233 megahertz Pentium 2. This was also offered in 266 and 300 megahertz models. Those were the D266 and D300 respectively. And this machine originally shipped with Windows 95. And Pentium 2, quite a powerful system for Windows 95 in my opinion. Of course, Windows 95 was the latest version of Windows at the time, so you wouldn't expect anything different, except maybe Windows NT. But yeah, this is a pretty cool computer. First of all, this is the largest and heaviest desktop computer which I've ever seen in person. This thing is massive. It's very tall. It's a full tower in height, very deep, and it's even got this stand on it just because it's so tall, I guess to give it a bit more width, to make it a bit more stable. And this thing is very heavy. This weighs about 30 pounds. I actually weighed it on a digital scale. And I weighed another desktop computer I had, and that weighed only 18 pounds. So 12 pounds heavier this thing is than the other computer that I measured. So let's see what hardware we have on this thing. First of all, the RAM. This thing originally shipped with 32 megabytes of RAM, standard for the time. Whoever had this upgraded it to, I forget, I think 96 megabytes, or it might have been 128, but I've upgraded it to 384 megabytes. So let's see what we got here. Well, it did come with a CD-ROM drive, and the drive does work, but I replaced it with this old HP CD Writer Plus, just because it reads rewritable discs and recordable discs a bit better. A Zip 250 drive, very cool, and it does work. Floppy disk drive, that works just fine. And we have power and hard drive activity LEDs and the power button there, as well as a reset button. Now here's something strange. Now this is a soft power button. No question about that. It's a soft power button. But this thing does not support soft power. It does not support APM, Advanced Power Management. So although this is a soft power button, it functions just like a hardwired power button. You press it and the computer turns on. If you press it at any time, it just does a hard shut off. This does not support soft power. And Windows, when you go to shut down Windows, the computer doesn't turn off by itself. Windows prompts you to turn the computer off yourself, and you have to press a button. See, when I first noticed this, first time I had this thing running under Windows, and it did this, I thought, well, Windows must not be, talking to the BIOS correctly or something. And I did a lot of research trying to figure out, why wasn't the Advanced Power Management working, until I think I finally came across an article about this particular computer, in that it does not support Advanced Power Management. Very interesting. If we go around the back, there's more interesting stuff here. Power supply. We have another fan here. PS2 keyboard and mouse. Look at this. USB on a computer from 1997. This had to have been one of the earliest computers to have USB. It might not even be 1.1. It might be 1.0. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's really cool. And there's two of them here. I would expect just one on a computer this early. Parallel and serial ports, and that's it. No onboard sound or video. We have a video card here. This thing has the original video card. It's an NVIDIA Riva 128. Very nice. And this thing did have a sound card, but it was actually bad, which is too bad because it was a really nice sound card. It was a Creative Labs Sound Blaster AWE64 ISA sound card, the exact same sound card that I run in the Turbo 486. Yeah, the card just did not work. The computer wouldn't even turn on with that card in there. When I first tried this thing, it would not turn on at all, and I eventually discovered it was the sound card that was keeping it from doing so. And I looked over the card, I cleaned it, looked for broken solder joints, broken contacts on the card edge connector, and I couldn't find anything wrong with it. The card was simply bad. I threw it away. I replaced it with a Creative Labs Sound Blaster Live, and that works just fine. And we have a modem. So, a very neat computer. So yeah, I put Windows 2000 on this thing. I think most people probably would have put Windows 98 on this. I originally put Windows NT 4.0 on this. Really, it was the first time I ever put Windows NT 4.0 on a computer and actually tried it out for real, and I hate it. Windows NT, you know, just where it was a really hardcore workstation operating system, it lacks so much support for a lot of hardware and a lot of software. For example, Windows NT does not support DirectX, so that was a big missing component. And then, you know, it's hard to find drivers and stuff, so I don't think I'll ever put Windows NT on any computer I get ever again. The only exception would be if I, God forbid, ever got a Pentium Pro system, and then I would just put Windows NT on it, no questions asked, because Windows NT and Pentium Pro, you know, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. So for this thing I decided, since, you know, I didn't want Windows NT, I decided on Windows 2000, and it runs great on this computer. So let's take a look inside this thing. So to get this cover off, there's a thumb screw right here. Gonna pull that out. And then there's a tab here, and a tab here, and you're supposed to squeeze on them and pull the cover off. It's incredibly hard to do. This is one of the hardest to open computers that I have ever seen. It is absolutely a two-handed job. I might not even be able to do it live on camera here, but I'll try. It usually involves me getting violent. Oh, no, it might come easy this time. Oh, that's surprising. That's about the easiest it's ever come off. But there it goes. So I'll just set that down here. And here's the inside. The hard drive is positioned here. And the drive I put in it was, I believe it's a 4.3 gigabyte Quantum Fireball. This computer originally, I believe 4, 8, and 10 gigabyte hard drives were offered. And to get the hard drive out, there's a tab here and a tab here. And there's a tab you press down on there to take the front panel off. So if I do that, front panel comes off. There it is. And I believe removing these drives is easier with the front panel off. You get the hard drive out, screw there, you take them out, and then the hard drive slides out this way. So it's not a bad system. And put the cover back on. You'll line these hinges up. Yeah, this whole computer, you know, it's so heavy, and the plastic is made of is so thick. This is literally the heaviest built computer, the best built computer that I've ever seen. It's very impressive. There's the processor. It's slot 1. So you got a big heat sink here with no fan on it. This is technically your CPU fan. And this can be upgraded to, I know, at least 300 megahertz. They also made a 333 megahertz Pentium 2 that would fit in this. I don't know if the motherboard supports it or not. It might though. And then as for the RAM, this thing's actually based on a great chipset. It is the Intel 440LX chipset. It was a great chipset in its time. And would you believe this thing from 1997 supports 1.5 gigabytes of RAM? A gigabyte and a half of RAM you can put in this thing. How impressive is that? If you had that much RAM in this, you would have to use Windows 2000 or at least Windows NT, because I don't think Windows 95 or 98 support that much RAM. Although they might, I don't remember. PC beeper down there. It's quite loud, so I put a piece of Scotch tape over it. There's the modem. Modem's got a full range speaker on it, which is interesting. So you've got 2 ISA slots and 4 PCI slots. And look at this! Another real big surprise for a computer from 1997. This has AGP. This is an AGP video card. Can you imagine AGP in 1997? This computer was like very early on board with a lot of technologies. I'm thoroughly impressed. Now, as for this motherboard, it's quite an interesting story. This is actually a standard motherboard. It's an Intel, it's called the Intel A440LX motherboard, and it was a retail motherboard. You could buy it off the shelf. But in typical Dell style, they modified it so that while it physically uses a standard ATX connector, the wiring, the pinout is different. And this is also physically a standard ATX power supply, but of course, again, the wiring's different. So if you were to ever change out the motherboard or the power supply in this, and you don't change out the other component to an ATX standard component with it, you turn this thing on and it would blow up. So beware. And God, I hate Dell for doing that, putting these physically standard but electrically different connectors on them. This connector is also not on the standard Intel motherboard. Dell added this. So yeah, standard ATX motherboard, standard retail motherboard, but Dell modified it for use in this computer. Beware. And not much else to show besides that. All the capacitors look good. CD-ROM, that's a zip drive, floppy. We have 2 IDE connectors and a floppy connector, and that's about it. So yeah, really impressively decked out computer for 1997. Another cool thing about these computers is you're actually not limited to these slot 1 Pentium 2 processors. Well, first of all, it might be well known if you're into older computers that with slot 1 computers you can buy what's called a socket adapter. What it is, it's an adapter that goes into the slot 1 and it gives you a socket 370 that you can plug a standard socket 370 processor onto. That's pretty neat, and what that allows you to do is use much faster processors than what were offered for the slot 1. In the case of this computer, it is known to be compatible with up to the 533 MHz Intel Celeron based on the Mendocino core. So that's pretty impressive. The only problem is the voltages are different. These Pentium 2 processors and the Mendocino Celerons use a different voltage, so you have to get a socket adapter that either has a manually adjustable voltage or can properly automatically detect the voltage for that processor, or else it's not going to work and you could possibly burn out your processor. Another problem is a lot of used sockets you'll come on eBay. See, socket adapters come with a bracket that holds them in the slot securely so they don't wiggle around. Well, a lot of used sockets you find on eBay don't come with that bracket. So, you know, you can stick it in the computer, but it could potentially fall out under the weight of the heatsink and fan. So, you know, it's kind of a gamble. Alright, we're all hooked up. I've got my Dell Quiet Key PS2 keyboard, my Mitsumi PS2 optical mouse, and this IBM 1024x768 LCD monitor. So we'll turn it on. And we'll go into the BIOS first. Hard drive's got quite noisy bearings. And there's the boot ROM for the video card. Here's all this stuff. Press delete, entering setup. So it's a Phoenix BIOS. It's been upgraded. It's copyright 1998. Alright, we're in the BIOS. Dell Dimension XPS D233. That's interesting. It even gives the D number. I wonder if I were to stick a 266 or 300 processor in this, if it would change what that says there. Pentium 2, 233. Yada yada. Time and date is correct. Quantum Fireball EX. Oh, it's a 6.4. my mistake. 6.4 gigabyte hard drive I have in this. And it detects the CDRW drive. Nothing much interesting. We do have power management, but I guess that's just stuff like turning the hard drive off, or the monitor, or whatever. Which reminds me, the retail Intel A440LX motherboard actually did get a BIOS update that gave it I've been saying APM, it might be ACPI, but one of those two. It basically gave it soft power support, so it behaved like a standard ATX computer. But the Dell version of the motherboard never got that upgrade. Which reminds me of yet another thing. You can flash this motherboard with the standard Intel firmware, the standard Intel BIOS, and that gives you way more functions, way more settings in the BIOS that you can control and stuff. And also, I'm remembering things one after the other. It's been a long time since I've tinkered with this computer. But if you want to upgrade the processor with a socket 371, you actually have to replace the Dell BIOS with the standard retail Intel BIOS. The Dell BIOS only supports the Pentium 2 processors. So there's that. And boot order, and you can boot from the zip drive, I believe. Someday I want to see if I can fit Windows 95 onto a zip disk and see if I can run a computer from a zip disk. That'd be kind of cool. Alright, let's boot up. It beeped. And there's the Windows 2000 starting up. I've got no sound hooked up. And there you go. Not too slow. This computer runs Windows 2000 pretty well. It's got plenty of RAM for it. Service Pack 4. I haven't bothered installing any of the million updates there are after Service Pack 4. I'll have to get a hold of the, I believe someone made an unofficial Service Pack 5 for Windows 2000, which I can install on this. It's kind of a dick move from Microsoft. They ought to roll up all the upgrades, all the updates that they make before discontinuing support for an operating system into a final service pack. Windows 2000 should have gotten a Service Pack 5. Windows XP should have gotten a Service Pack 4. Windows Vista should have gotten a Service Pack 3, and Windows 7 should have a Service Pack 2. But they're going to be jerks instead, I guess. There you go. Reports 392 megabytes of RAM. Not sure where the extra is coming from. Maybe the video card RAM. And the video card it was sold by a company called STG, something like that, I think, and called the Velocity 128, but it is based on the standard NVIDIA Riva 128 chipset, and standard NVIDIA drivers do work. And the card pushes OpenGL screensavers along just fine. I believe that's on, yeah, that's on maximum detail. I think the most demanding one is 3D Maze. And yeah, it runs that pretty good too. That one makes me sick, so I've never run it on a computer. Well, there you go. That's about all there is to show. I don't have anything installed on this. I guess I could show that the zip drive works. Show you the hard drive here. Pull that down. That's what's on the hard drive. And I can grab my zip disk here. Stick it in the drive. And there it is, the iOmega 50 Ways program. So the zip drive does indeed work. Alright, we'll shut this thing down and demonstrate that indeed this does not support advanced power management. Wow. This monitor does not like that gray, the gray shadow it puts over the desktop when you go to shut down. There's interlace lines all over the place. Moving interlace lines. Shut down. It does shut off the hard drive, and then it says it is now safe to turn off your computer. So we'll do that. And it's off. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the Dell Dimension XPS D233 computer from 1997. I think it's a really cool computer. I'm glad I have this. Very interesting computer. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys later.